Some tech problems here again with the Zoom meeting. And she said she was looking at, she's on both, I think. You can talk to her. Yeah, but I don't know, I mean, it's, in fairness to them, I had the same problem, it's just something happens, you just don't know what it is. It's just like bizarre,
Yeah. Next door. Yeah, I've been.
That's frustrating, I'm sure. The problem we have is that simulcasting it on YouTube all screws us up somehow. There we are. She just came on. Yeah, but it did a couple months ago. Remember, every time you went on YouTube, it knocked us off or something. But when we first started doing it, we on? She's on there. At the beginning of the meeting. No, after the call to order, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if you need an agenda. I guess say you make, say you want to make a committee report. I add a committee report about that.
You can hear Fletcher. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, that's the. I don't know what that's from. It's not earlier.
Somebody's saying something. She said she could hear. Can hear.
Can you hear us, Joy?
I know sign language.
You got it.
I need to get some of those people from the hurricane. They're always standing by there.
Yeah.
In the sign. Yeah. Yeah, we got to move on. Any luck or?
To sort of get around here. Sort of. Because he was interested in. Getting actually the dollar the same as the wall. So now it's all.
Let's start. I'm gonna. So we're broadcasting on YouTube, right? We're okay. So the only thing we're having a problem with hooking up with Joy. Okay, well, I'll move on. You can keep working on it. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Matt, can you hear me?
Annoying echoing again. I know. Yeah. Okay. I'd like to call the Nancock mid-month meeting to order. Can you go ahead. Yeah, can we have the roll call, please, Debbie? Good. I'd heard it over there too.
Councilmember Holdren, present. Councilmember Marino.
Present.
Present via Zoom.
Councilmember Knopf,
Here.
Councilmember Oswald. Here. Councilmember Weitzel
Present?
and Mayor Foskey.
Thank you. We have a quorum. And Ms. Marino is on the Zoom meeting here if we can get her on. Okay,
Can
all
you-
right, Pledge of Allegiance.
For which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have the minutes for, we don't have the minutes from last meeting. We're going to get those, we're at the regular scheduled meeting at the end of the month to approve those. Public hearing, none scheduled. I do have one thing, or while people are still here, is scheduling our these meetings for November and December. Does anybody want to, my feeling is that we probably could omit the mid-month meetings and around the holidays in November and December, and probably come back in January with a new council that's seated, have a mid-month January meeting, and then we can decide what we want to do.
Right.
Well, we could do it it would be at the end of the November meeting. We could do it 2 weeks earlier if you want to have a special meeting. That's up to you all. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you want to think about it, and we have the regular October meeting, we can schedule a meeting in November if you want to do that. It's up to council's decision what you want to do.
25th, which is the Monday of Thanksgiving week.
Yeah. Well, no, with that meeting, that's a regularly scheduled meeting. I'm talking about having one 2 weeks before that. Okay, all right. Well, you can always go Zoom, but it's up to council's decision. I think the only thing we did mention that we might want to seat the new person at the mid-October meeting, but that's up to council.
What's the 60-day window? I can't remember
We're
exactly.
supposed to appoint somebody within 60 days of when they resigned.
But what was that date?
We had the October meeting would be okay, I think, yeah.
What was the date?
The regular October. No, the November meeting, I think, falls in within that time, yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we were talking about having a mid-November meeting, not the regular at the end of the thing. So it's up, yeah. I
Okay,
mean, it's just
60 days from September 23rd is November 22nd, which is the Friday before the regular
Oh.
November meeting.
It's up. Well, I think the meeting is we could do that. We could certainly do that if that's convenient with everybody.
Okay with me?
Let me look at my schedule real quick here.
November on the 18th.
Hold on a second. Let's just check and see if I'm going to be available. Yeah, I'm fine. Is that okay with everybody?
Yep.
Okay, do we have a motion to do that? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sure.
Regular meeting.
Oh, yes, okay.
To the 8th,
Okay, all right.
not as a special.
Is Joy able to hear anything?
Can you hear me, Fletcher?
Huh?
Hello?
We're
Hello?
talking, but we're not hearing her.
I am
Okay.
talking,
Did she
yes.
put it in the chat?
Oh, there she is. Joy, can you
Okay.
hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we are.
No.
We can hear you, Joy.
Okay,
Great.
We need a vote on whether you want to move that meeting up a week.
I'm not clear on what the motion is because some people I can hear fine, other people I
Yes.
can't hear at all. So if you could move to your microphones, that would really help. What is the motion,
Okay, I'm
please?
assuming we carried anyway, yeah. All right.
Did you not hear me? Okay, this isn't working.
Okay, we will. All right. Okay, well, thank you. Then we got,
So, Joy, the motion is to have. I thought, Joy, that you said you couldn't hear what the motion was.
That's correct.
So the motion is to move the November meeting from Monday, the 25th to Monday, the 18th, 1 week earlier. So one meeting in November, 1 week earlier.
If you can hear me, that's fine with me.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just waiting. All right, we're gonna move on here. All right. Yeah, it carried. Yeah, I'm just trying to get her vote. All right, public presentation. We have a public presentation from for about Escadiv from Casey Walter. You gonna come on up and stand up at the podium and can you try to speak right into that microphone
I
if you
can
can,
do
please?
that. Probably don't need a microphone, but
Okay.
yeah, my name is Casey Walter. I am the new executive director of Escadiv, the Eastern Shore Coalition Against Domestic Violence. So I was invited here to kind of just tell a little bit about what we do and who we serve. We are the only domestic violence shelter on the Eastern Shore of Virginia. We serve both men and women who are survivors of domestic or sexual violence. We serve roughly 75 to 100 men and women, children per year. We are a nonprofit, so we are based just on grants and contributions from the public. Volunteerism is a huge thing that we need. We need it for transportation to and from doctor's appointments, legal appointments, therapy appointments that anybody might have, children to school, or after school events that they're, some of these women and men flee from their home in the middle of the night with just the clothes on their back. So we also ask for donations in clothing, bedding, personal hygiene products, and toiletries, diapers, baby clothes, things of that nature. We roughly spend about $1.2 million a year on all the services that we do provide: counseling, therapy, parenting, budgeting. A lot of these survivors have never run a budget, so they don't even know how to live outside of the home that they fled from. So that's a big thing that we're focusing on, is making them independent again, or they know that they can survive and thrive in the community that they live in. So that's what we're all about. Yes, ma'am. Between 75 and 100.
Can I ask a question? Is there a fundraiser mid-November?
There is a fundraiser in mid-November. That is our oyster roast. It is going to be on November 16th at Vauxhall near the country club. Tickets are still available. You can call our office, 757-787-1329, and buy tickets that way, or you can buy them online, or any flyer that's around town. There is a QR code on that, and that will send you right to the link to purchase tickets. They are $65 each. You're welcome.
I have a question, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Of the residents you serve, can you tell us how many are from the Anancock area?
So we don't really break it down as far as like towns. They are all from Accomack or Northampton counties. We have one that a case is over in Virginia Beach just for their child custody, but we do just serve Accomack and Northampton counties at this time.
Right, I understood that, but I've always been curious about how many of those were actual Anancock or Anancock area residents.
Yeah, we're not gonna, we wouldn't break down that specific kind of number.
Number. It's not anything identifying,
Yeah, it's just,
it's just data.
it is just data. You're right, but we don't break it down like that. We do by county.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Okay, we have council action, special use permit, Article 15. I think we're all pretty familiar with this one. Matt? All right. Is everybody happy with this ordinance now, or do we have a motion to adopt it?
I move that we adopt the ordinance with the changes that show up in our copy of this month.
Do we have a second? Discussion? Okay. I'm going to roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Holder,
Aye.
Councilmember Marino.
If you can hear me, aye.
Yeah, we'll take the green as an aye. Councilmember Knox,
Aye.
Councilmember Oswald. Aye. Councilmember Weitzel.
I texted Joy and she's asked if we can put her on speakerphone. She also said she sent a message in the chat. You can't open it?
Well, we just adopted the ordinance. I think we're sort of,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but for future discussions.
okay, all right.
There's the chat down there.
Did she turn on her camera?
All right. Hey, let's move on. Council discussion, I think, Cindy, did you want to add?
Yes, I'd like to add a discussion item. You all got information from the winter market. And I have some points from the parking lot discussion on Friday that I'd like to make. Just a little synopsis of that.
Okay, we'll put that at the end of the council discussion, if that's okay. Yeah. Anybody have issue with that? Yeah, okay. All right, okay, one-way Liberty Street extension? Okay, if you want to say something now? Okay, one-way Liberty extension, Matt?
And ask if we consider, if the town council would consider making Liberty Street extension a one-way street. Right now, if you remember, a couple of years ago, we had that tar and chipped. It goes straight from Liberty Street, cuts through over to Division. The residents of that street, I believe it's all residents of that street, not all?
No.
Okay. Looks like all.
There are two
Residents-
that are omitted.
2 of them are admitted. Okay, so I'll say 4 of 6 signed a petition asking for a one-way street with 15-mile-an-hour speed limit.
We lost Joy,
She's on.
or she's, okay.
Right, okay, all right, comments about council? Yeah,
Question, one way in which direction? Is that specified or do they mind which?
It's not specified, but if it were my street, I would be looking west to east. They didn't make that clear.
I have a
I have an opinion on that. You can hear me, right?
yeah, go ahead.
Liberty Street extension, it's off Liberty Street, obviously. If we made it one way going towards Mount Prospect, then I understand that it is reckless driving if you are going against the flow of traffic. So anybody who's taking Liberty Street extension for a shortcut would be breaking the law and could be ticketed. So, but this also affects people who live on Mount Prospect and other streets also, if it's made one way.
True.
Yeah, it throws people onto the other streets, correct? If you're going, yeah, you would come down, if you make it one way, you go, people would go over onto Meadville, correct?
Either Meadville or Crescent.
Yeah, yeah. Is there a
I've spoken to several residents on the other side of Prospect Heights who are opposed to that change because they use it to get through as a shortcut to Walmart usually.
you're talking about people on the west side,
because the residents have mentioned UPS and FedEx and other large vehicles, but you can't stop those vehicles and they are always on a time schedule that pushes them through, that they're there. I have a similar, not a similar situation because I have to carefully come out of my driveway because of foliage on one side, and then I get down to the end of Meadville, and then I have to stop and really inch my way out because of foliage there. But I'm just saying, it's an inconvenience, it slows me down, but it's the safe way to do it. And the same thing about that area, just be safe and go slowly. You just have to take your time. I don't think the entire area should be inconvenienced for 4 houses.
What about lowering the speed limit?
I was going to ask
That
that.
was that's a separate issue somewhat.
It's a nice thing to do and a nice thing to say. But if you're not policing it and you're not controlling it, nobody's going to, just ask people to slow down would be the right thing to do. And to put the speed limit at 15, that's safe, right? That's safe enough, but it's another ordinance that says something that we're not going to police.
Other comments? Yeah.
Is it worth it, or have the police already, been in that area to see how much of a problem it is? And
Yes, yes, Matt.
I think it's a problem for the residents. I don't think it's a problem for people who uses the cut through to Walmart.
Yeah.
well, let me back up and say then, have the police looked and see and you know, how much data on how frequently is used, when it's used, how fast they're going, when they use it. I mean, it wouldn't be an impediment for somebody, you know, going all sorts of places, right?
I can direct the police to sit on Liberty Street Extension to find out if there's a safety issue. I think this is more along the lines of a traffic issue, not a traffic count issue, and people, it appears that they go faster than they actually are. That's the one thing that I've learned from watching radar guns, is you think they're going a lot faster than they are. So I would say if they want to change the traffic patterns so that it goes one direction or another, that's council's choice, obviously. If we want to change the speed limit, I agree with you, Maphis. I think that it would be one more thing that the police just can't get to.
Stay on that road and catch anybody for one thing. Where would you? I know. You can, if you turn, as minute you turn on the road, you're going to see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be in somebody's. Yeah, I know. Yeah. No, I understand. Is there a way to maybe improve signage on that? You know, to say, you know, something, this is special. Yeah. Well, it doesn't seem like there's any consent. Is there a consensus? Does anybody have a motion to do anything here? Or do we want to see what other, it's up to you. It's up to council.
How big a deal is it to put a slow sign?
Not an issue.
Okay, and I've seen, you know, on roads, you see hidden driveway signs. So slow hidden driveways would be appropriate for that area, I would think.
Talk to chief about what's going to be the best way to slow folks down.
So I move that we do nothing at this time except.
We don't need a motion to do nothing. No. Okay. Well, yeah, we don't, well, yeah, let's make a motion to do something if we want to do something. Yeah. Does anybody want to make a motion to do anything?
Do nothing.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we're going to do that. All right.
Yeah, I think that directive addresses the crux of the issue as a first step without overkill.
Yeah. We can come back and revisit it if, yeah. Yeah, put a sign up. Yeah. Yeah, okay. And you can report back. Okay, continuing with council discussion, FOS, building evaluation. Matt, you want to?
At the last meeting, I was asked to get at least three engineering firms to give us a quote on what it would take to, and this is my understanding, to evaluate the building, to prioritize the work that needs to be done. So is it the heating that needs to be done first? Is it the roof that needs to be done first? Is it the windows, or is it the electric? Those are the four projects that were taken on. So I got in touch with I got in touch with five different, but three of them responded, engineering firms. One of them has their name all over this. AWB did the building evaluation when the lease was signed. AWB did it again in 2016. McPherson was another company that responded. And then, Becker Morgan was the next firm that responded. The AWB was $5,500. McPherson's is $6,300. Becker Morgan is $17,770. All for the same services that I just described to you. They would prioritize those things, and they don't give quotes. That's not what they do. So you're going to spend money on something that's been done. I mean, it was 8 years ago, but it's been done. And we already have quotes for everything except the roof that needs to be done. The electrical work is being done now because part of our plan B is that if the heat fails, they're going to need room heaters or space heaters. Right now, their electricity won't support space heaters for those rooms with the height of the ceilings. So right now, we're looking for what type of a space heater we would need and what electrical service it would need in order to make that area tenable, as well as our pipes not freeze. So then we already have a quote for windows. I mean, everybody knows we need windows, and we've got the quotes for windows, and everybody knows that we need quotes for the HVAC, and we have those quotes as well. So we have quotes for every major component except the roof that the building needs. The roof right now is not leaking. Now, when it will start again, I can't speak to that, but right now it's not leaking. So I would say the three projects that are critical are the heating system, the electrical system, and third would be windows. And we have quotes for all three of those. Now, we can pay these people $5,000 to $12,000 to tell us that, or we can rely on the quote. But the question on the table is the council going to approve a loan to make these repairs?
Well, we're not deciding
No,
that
we're
tonight.
not.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
That's really the question.
Right.
You
What-
spend this-
Right. We need, so
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my preference would be to use the money for the study to find out what we already know towards the problems that we already know about.
I'm a little confused about what you just said. What?
Instead of paying somebody to tell us what we already know about the things that need doing,
Right.
if we're going to spend that money for the sake of the school, spend that money for the beginning of doing the work for the school.
Oh, so
At the last meeting, I expressed my concerns about the mini split system not lasting the life of the loan. So,
USDA only lends for the term of the life of the asset. So our police cars, they get loans for 7 years. They don't get 40-year loans. Neither would she told me it would in all likelihood be 10 years because that's what mechanical equipment sort of is on their chart at. But but if we did anything structural or with the roof, it would be 40 years. So
the windows and the roof could be 40 years possibly.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would say the windows and the roof would be 40 years, the electrical,
Yeah.
probably with mechanical.
Honestly, it doesn't make sense to me
Doesn't make sense.
that the mini splits would last that much longer.
10 years?
No, they don't last.
That's what I mean. We'd have to replace things that we have within our loan. We'd have to make
No, they
numerous replacements.
would only loan us for 10 years for a mini split.
Just for 10 years for mini split.
We'd pay it off when it was when they, at the end of its lifetime. They're not going to give you a 40-year loan for something that's only last 10 years. Hold on a second. I got, Yeah.
One more second.
okay. All right. So you understand that?
I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying. I'm not convinced mini splits is the system we need.
Okay.
That's the only quote we have.
That's a very fair question.
Okay. All right. Okay. Joy?
I'm not sure if it's splits from the system. On September 23rd, Fletcher made the statement that town council would direct the town manager to obtain bids for the structural and mechanical engineer assessment of the Nancock High School. And I repeated that just to make sure I was clear. I think that occurred at 1 minute and 18 or 1 hour and 18 minutes into that September 23rd meeting. The only comments that were made after that is that council member Weitzel asked that it be done as soon as possible, and council member Holdren asked that we work on Plan B. The purpose of having a structural and mechanical engineer is to determine the soundness of the building and the systems in the building. When I looked at these three quotes from the three engineering firms, I was surprised to see that McPherson basically is concentrating on HVAC, windows, roof, and electrical. That's not what we asked for. We asked for a complete engineering and mechanical assessment of the school so that we know we can fix this problem and how much will it cost us to fix this problem. That we have a complete total package. I think that Becca Morgan is the only one of the three quotes that, to me, looks like they're going to do what we requested.
Well, the McPherson has $1,200 for a structural. Yeah.
And they also talked about windows for electrical,
All right.
whereas I think vendor Becca Morgan has done a assessment of the school in the past. Is that correct?
AWB did that.
Okay. But I think, we need to start saying that we have quotes for local contractors concerns me. That we proceed without having what we requested, which is a engineering assessment, structural mechanical engineering assessment, so that we know what we need to fix and how much it's going to cost us.
So you want me
So
to
that we-
add structural to the quotes that are here, because these guys all did, what the school brought forward was the mechanical systems, the electrical systems, and the windows. So if you want me to add a full structural review, I can call them all back and get that number added.
Well, the structural is on the second one. And so McPherson has got $1,200 for structural. Yeah, I think they're going to look at the structural. Yeah. Yeah.
And then also they would do a complete assessment
And Joy, on page 9,
There is
McPherson
structural there.
has structural as well. Yeah, Fletcher said, but it's just to,
But none of this gives
Wait.
us an idea of what anything is going to cost. And so what you're looking at is getting a contractor or somebody in there to say, I mean, you're talking about getting a loan, but you don't even know what the loan should be.
Well, I mean, I think it's two, I think some people, it's two steps. We get an analysis and then we're gonna have to go out to bids. Yeah, we're not, but they say they're gonna give us a rough estimate. This person did. I don't know whether that's worth the paper it's printed on. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Down at the bottom of one of these things.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, I think the question is, do we want to, let's get one step at a time. Do we want to hire somebody to assess the school? What's the time frame? Is this going to take months or,
Hurried up the quotes.
Yeah, yeah.
so
yeah, I appreciate you doing that quickly. That was, thank you very much for that.
Two that you'd like to see, make sure they gave me not just a general conditions on the structural, but a detailed structural analysis. I mean, is that the concern that the building's gonna fall down?
Not me personally. Well, yeah, to me personally, I've heard this, that the structural is in actually pretty good shape, but I'm not a structural engineer. The first assessment they did for these people looked at it. We have a study that the board looked at and they went through the study and about 80%, 90% of that was taken care of. They did some work on the foundation walls in the basement. They poured new concrete, I think they took care of the structural issues. They had some water intrusion. So, it might be a fairly simple assessment that doesn't, say the building's not going to fall down, but it's up to council what they want to do.
The big question that Matt asked and that we need to answer is, if we're going to spend the money for this report, for these engineering reports, are we going to spend the money to do the next phase? And if you were talking about a $500,000 loan for 40 years, I still say no.
Well, that's all speculation. So I think the first step is to find out, a real assessment of what's needed. And none of us in this room can do that ourselves. So I think the need is to hire someone. I do have an additional question because Becker Morgan indicates that their travel expenses would not be included in the prices that they've given us. And I wanted to, if you're contacting them for additional information, ask whether travel expenses or anything else is excluded from the quotes that they've given us.
All right, do we,
Ma'am, you're good.
The RFP that you sent out to these 3 firms, or how many ever you sent out, what did you ask for in the RFP?
I didn't write an RFP. I called each one of them because I didn't have time to post it. So I asked for the 4 items that the school came forward with quotes. So now I'll go back and say, thank you for that, but now we want a complete building assessment from roof to basement. And it's gonna cost tens of thousands of dollars.
I agree.
Which line item should I take that from?
Well, we can talk about that, but I agree with Cindy that none of us are engineers. We don't know what the high school needs. We need a structural, mechanical, engineering assessment to see what we're getting involved with. Then we can start talking money after we get the assessment, then we'll have a real picture.
remember though, that the board of the school and the leadership of the school has been working all along off of that, was it 2016 report, and addressing things as they have come up. And although the council, as a council, has not been intimately involved in that, it's not the black box that it's being depicted as. There are known aspects of what is needed, and there is a plan, although the issue with the financing and the fact that the school can't take out a loan on the building it doesn't own hit a roadblock there. I think it's overstating to say that the needs are not known.
Touched on something that has been bothering me from a long time. The school can't take a loan out on a building they do not own. However, there is a loan listed in their financial report that they do have a loan. I don't, I just don't know how that
As
works.
I understand it, and Joni is on the call and will raise her hand, I hope, and correct me if I'm wrong, or Harry, who is here. As I understand it, that was an ARPA, keep your business going kind of loan,
Yeah,
not a loan for work on the building itself.
Yeah, everybody was.
It's for the
eligible for those.
organization.
Yeah, a lot of people got those.
Yes.
No, it was a small business,
Yeah,
PPP
Yeah,
loan,
it's
small
that-
business loan.
yeah.
Everybody got those during
Yeah.
COVID. There's no collateralized, yeah, yeah. And they forgave, some of the loans, yeah, yeah. So they're not using the building to collateralize anything, yeah.
So
Alright.
Joni, did I get that close enough to write?
Yeah, I think it's on. I mean,
Yes, you
the
did.
AWB people were the people that did a report a while ago.
They've done 2 so far.
So they're willing, they said that they were willing to, that they're talking about time and materials not to exceed $5,500. I mean, I don't think they paid that much for the first assessment a long time ago. That was a structural assessment. So,
But that's.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, I'm certainly not willing to spend $17,000 from the final people. But it seems like to me it'd be worth a call back to them to see what they could look at, and they might not be that expensive. But that's just my take on it, yeah.
I think that's right. I think we could ask them to add and see what the cost is. But I will say that since we don't know what the total cost would be for the building, it's premature to say 17,000 is too much. It may be like 0.00022 per $100 of assessed value of real estate, right? So it could end up being a small amount. I don't want to pay that much, but relative to the entire project, it could be a relatively small amount.
Well, I agree with you, but these 3 people have been given numbers from Matt, and one of them is 3 times more than the other one. So, I mean, I don't think we're even allowed to.
I
consider that
I
big.
don't disagree.
Yeah, yeah,
I just think if we get from AWB the additional,
yeah, and see what that is.
that's right.
Well, but the other 2 people, listed, the second one listed it, and it's only 6,300. They're spending some money on the structural and valuation. So
Right.
I think they assume that was part of it. So,
Fletcher, to me, when I read it, the last one looked to be the most expansive review. I really,
detail.
I agree with you. It's probably more than we would like to spend, but I'm not sure we're comparing we're comparing oranges to oranges.
My question is, we've used AWB before. The satisfaction quotient was,
Back and did it a second time, so say they must have been satisfied.
not them, you.
School.
Oh, the school, okay.
I think we need to go back to these 3 companies. I know nobody wants to delay this. We've been accused of kicking this can down the road so many times. So let's move forward with these 3 companies or any others that you find and get a structural mechanical engineering assessment. Let's not focus on the 4 items that the school has decided are the most important and they have quotes for. Let's get the entire package so that we can move forward with this and know exactly what we're getting into, all areas.
You want anything outside the building evaluated?
Probably the home economics building is still standing and seems to be structurally okay, but you might want to just add that in. It won't be that much money. It's a standing structure historic structure on the property.
I think we should just concentrate on the high school at this point. We can always go back later
Yeah.
and see that we have the ability to fix the high school. So I think that would be where we start.
Up to council, what, we want to get more information on this, or do we want to, I mean, it seems like two of these people are already giving us some structural information to me, and I think we could make a phone call to AWB and find out what they want to do. Yeah. And I mean, I think that it's worth, exploring. I don't know if we need to get, I don't know what these people are, I don't know if they're going to come back with another quote. Up to
Well,
council.
until we ask them, we're certainly not going to know what they're going to come back with. So I suggest we ask them for the information that Joy was talking about and discuss it again in 2 weeks.
We're not meeting in 2 weeks. Oh, what? Oh, we're meeting in 3 weeks. We moved it up.
No, 2 weeks,
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right.
End of
I'm
October.
sorry. You're right. Of course we are. Yes, yeah. Okay.
13 days, actually.
That would be, yes, that would be for a structural, mechanical, engineering assessment.
So is that gonna, you're gonna send a new RFP to them? So it would be just these three firms, or are we gonna pick? So they've already known what's, yeah, okay, all right. And see if they can just add, to make it clear about what they're giving us quotes on. Is everybody okay with that? Or,
Is it just gonna tell you it's another $3,000 or whatever it
Yes.
is to do that part?
yes,
And that's all they're gonna do. They're just gonna, well, say, Matt, okay, we'll do it for $3,000, right? I mean, they don't have to come and do anything.
They have to tell us what it is they are going to do. I mean,
Asking
the
them.
first one is pretty vague.
That's why I said I would send out the written RFP to all of you to make sure I'm asking what you want me to ask.
I don't know what I want you to ask because it sounds like it's.
Well, it sounds like Joy has her arms around this, so I don't mind sending it, and making sure everybody's happy, because I just don't want to do it at this time.
well, there's, I mean,
They'll stop answering.
yeah, but it clearly, it clearly says, one company says they're gonna charge you $1,200 for structural general conditions. That's what we want to know. Yeah, I don't think it's not, yeah, I don't know what that includes, but I mean,
Yeah, that's not a mystery.
that's not a mystery. I don't know if they're gonna, they're gonna go and take, test every brick. I mean,
But
no, of
Fletcher,
course not.
since we made a phone call, and the first one from AWB, which to me ought to be the most promising because they've done prior reviews, didn't give us enough detail to tell us what they are going to do.
Well, and I suggested we make a phone call to them and find
Me
out what they
too.
want to do. But
Me
we want, if you want to go back through the RFP, that's fine. Yeah. I think a couple of phone calls would be enough, but it's up to you all.
I think it will be not expense and, whatever it costs, then we have the future. Then we know what we have to do. And then we can start at that point decide how we're gonna address this.
Well, I'm still unclear about what we're requesting Matt to do. Are we going to ask him to write up a RF? Right, that's one proposal. Or the other question is just to have him call and get clear about what kind of structural analysis they're going to do on it.
Questions. That's why I just want to send it in writing and.
Okay, all right.
respond.
Well, that's fine. Does anybody? All right. And we're going to have that back hopefully at the next meeting. You don't know. It's up to them. They'll send it out tomorrow. Yeah. It might be a pretty simple, fairly simple question from them. Yeah. All right. Any more comments on this? All right. Okay. Fence decision, oak tree. Yeah.
Could I suggest that you might want to hear about the winter market
And
First.
and the meeting, yeah.
because it could impact the fence?
Okay.
Okay, if I go ahead with that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, it's related to the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, this arose from the Queen Street parking lot discussions. After Janet went with the building contractor to, scope out the spot that we had approved behind the 38 Market Street, at that back entrance. It turned out that they have to put in a concrete pad or potentially I guess, compacted soil and gravel as a base for that building. So in the discussions, as we came to the Queen Street parking lot, there were other considerations that hadn't been brought up initially. It could be that it's not the most practical site. It'll crowd the entrance to that back section of the building for any tenants that would ever be in there. It causes a stream of dozens of people or dozens of vendors and hundreds of people to cross Ann Kyle's parking lot property, which to the best of her knowledge at the moment is going to be some sort of gravel. Now, the vendors presumably would need to drive in there to stock the building, et cetera. So there would be wear and tear on somebody else's parking lot. I mentioned the stable base. So the alternative location that was suggested at the meeting is the paved space south of the oak tree, outside of the drip line of the tree. It's a good fit for the building. It would allow 4 feet of pedestrian room in front of the building that's out of the traffic. It would be easy access for vendors, more visible for shoppers, and could be attractive if plantings and flower pots were added. And if the fence was connected to the ends of the building so that the building provides part of the fencing, it would reduce the fence that we need by 35 feet. Since we seem to be months away from a plan, and certainly longer than that, for building out a parking lot, and there are issues that have to be addressed regarding drainage, the egress from all the adjacent properties, traffic flow, pathways from Market Street to the lot, electrical. The parking lot designers said that they don't have any plans for that area, so it wouldn't impact what they're doing at all. Finally, the building is movable. So if the plan was finalized and that wasn't the best spot for it, the market would raise the money and move it to whatever designated spot was chosen. They'd like to ensure the continuation of the winter market and hope to have the funding for the building by mid-December. So if possible, I'd like to ask for your decision about this location, the change in location at our next meeting. Any questions?
One question is that the fence should go up as quickly as possible because of weather conditions will impact its timing. We need the fence around that tree.
And the fence does not encroach on that concrete pad or the asphalt that you're talking about where the winter market.
No, it'd be bad.
It's on the grass behind it.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't.
Wouldn't save any fence?
No.
Oh, so if it doesn't save any fence, then I say we can wait till November meeting, but I would like to make sure we move forward with the fencing as quickly as possible.
I have a couple of questions. In looking at the designs that were sent, the placements that were sent, I'm not remembering where the place by the tree is relative to the EV chargers.
No, not close.
50 yards to the west.
Okay. And then the other question is, would there be any impact to the tree root system from having a new piece of concrete put over it?
Don't have to do anything. It's already asphalted. It could
You're
sit
talking
right-
about the additional weight on it?
No, it would sit right on the existing asphalt.
So it doesn't need new?
No.
It
No.
would need new if it were in the original place we had decided,
Yes.
Yes.
but okay, thank
Yes.
you. I'm with you now. Okay.
Any other questions?
All right. Yeah, any other questions about the specific location of that? Okay. Does anybody have any thoughts about that? All right.
To me, that seems like a good solution.
Okay. It's up to you.
It's entirely up to you. It's been a trend to want to think about it. So if you want to
Yes.
think, fine. If you don't,
Thank you.
okay,
Thank you for the think time.
okay.
That time is for market.
Yes, yes.
What-
The tree's coming up now, the tree's coming up, fence now.
So,
Yes.
so wait, I've got another question
Okay.
about the market. If we give ourselves the think time till the end of October, does that enable the winter market? When would that enable the winter market to begin? What kind of a gap would there be in its being able to open?
I don't think there would be any gap because they haven't
Winter
quite raised the money yet to pay for
Okay.
it.
Well, they're applying for this grant. Yeah, they're applying for the grant. So it's somewhat dependent on the grant. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. But I think if everything goes smoothly, they could have it by December. Yeah,
Okay.
because the building is a prefab building. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be built. They just park it and it's there, you know.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. And they don't need any.
So it doesn't have to be built once?
No, no. Well, I think it does, but they can do it pretty quickly because they pick out a standard and then they do a couple changes to it. But I'm not sure of the time frame. Yeah, but I think they're willing to work within that time frame.
Thanks.
Okay, and yeah. So, all right. Any more questions about that? Yeah, and I think we could possibly make room in existing where they're existingly operating. We could probably give them a little extension there. Yeah, okay. All right, fence.
Stake out, if you give me the measurements of the building, I can stake that out so you can see where it is and where it's not gonna go, because it's not gonna get asphalted underneath. It won't be asphalted underneath, so it'll be the way it's gonna be regardless of what happens to the parking lot and the street around it.
Right. You say they're not going to put new asphalt underneath it. Yeah, that probably doesn't need it. Yeah, yeah.
So
Okay.
that's what I was getting at. Stake that out and you say, you know, yes, that's where the building's gonna go, then we could put the fence in where it's supposed to go. And now we'll have two of our elements in place without, you know, too much difference.
And you'll make sure that there's clearance between the fence for mowing or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
It may be in that attachment that Janet sent. I'll just have to go back and look. I know I've seen it, so I'll find it and send it to you. Yeah.
All right. So about the fence, then
The style of the fence and the cost of the fence.
I had a question about I know you and I have been talking about this about the fence extending out at the west into the parking lot.
Yes.
Is there any way we can limit that as much as I looked at it the other day and it's, you know, we're going to lose parking, you know, we're going to lose some parking to it, but I understand we wanted to protect people from limbs and I think we've done made a good job at that, but at some point, you know, to extend where people aren't going to be, if we could just limit coming out that. Yeah. And there's nobody going to be parked under that. It's just, right, 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 right. Well, I think we decided we wanted that. I'm not advocating cutting that back. I'm saying that, well, that's my point. I mean, we've done our due diligence and in that, you know, that we're protecting it and we're not, you know, we don't want people picnicking under the tree. We don't want the farmer's market under the tree, but an occasional car driving, you know, it's been there for 200 years. So to me, to take up extra, you know, yeah. So my question is that we can limit it going out into the parking lot. It makes more sense to me. All right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
5 is this way.
Right.
We could probably bring that to 75. But
Yeah, I think we were going 15 feet past what it is now. If we can maybe half that distance, it would give us some more space. Okay, well, let's move on to the design and the cost. So we need to vote on that.
One question that I had just in the notation on the quote. Page 17. inside the drawing and also in the list of specifications, it's got 6 foot wide something gate or gair or gore.
The gate, it's for, lawn equipment to get in there and care.
But what does the D stand for? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay. Because it's there twice and it puzzled me twice.
D gate? Is that a type of gate? Double gate. Maybe you're right. Double gate. Yeah, who said, thank you. I think you're exactly right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. So,
Go ahead, go ahead.
It's not how I normally shop, I'm notoriously tight. We were presented with 4 types of fence, but then we only got the price of the one, and cost always comes into my determination of what. This fence is gonna cost us $11,500. I just want to say, that's why I have no problem paying for the assessment of the high school, which is such a valuable asset for the town.
I don't, let's see how they're related.
So she has no problem spending the $11,489 for the fence because we're gonna spend the money on the structural evaluation of the school.
That's not what she said. That's, I don't think that's what she said. Opposite, I think, yeah.
Works both ways there.
So,
Well, we did look at stockade fences and wooden fences and no one liked that.
And
Right.
yeah, this was the only one that anybody had any appetite for pursuing, as I recall it.
Correct.
Yes.
well, we could save a little money by saving 15 feet, 10 feet off one side, yeah.
If somebody decides to go in there and due diligence means doing something.
Well, it's
I'll call
been that way
James
for
when
150
you
years.
raise your hands.
Well,
Make a motion, Nathan.
excuse me,
Make a motion.
I did.
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
No, I did. We're ready to roll, right?
We always open for motion, yeah.
Steps that we've agreed upon and get started with it as quickly as possible.
I second.
Discussion? Okay, I'm gonna, all in favor, roll call, please.
Aye.
Councilmember Marino. Councilmember Knox,
Aye.
Councilmember Oswald,
Aye.
and Councilmember Weitzel.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right. All righty, and the final, item for council discussion is the gift of decorative trees.
Surprise. One of our residents called and said he would like to donate up to $5,000 for at least 2. I've been calling them sidewalk trees for no other reason than I think it shares its description. So the last page, I pulled 4 different styles. There are obviously infinitely more styles than this. But if we can get a start on this conversation, Ann Kyle has said that she would be very happy with this addition to the front of her building, but that she would also like to have a voice in selecting the placement. Other than that, I haven't heard anybody give negative responses to any of those, so I don't pick aesthetic things. So first, would you accept the gift of up to $5,000 for these trees? Secondly, do you have one that sort of feels about right? And then I can pursue other that emulate that.
Well, first of all, who's going to water this tree, making sure that it gets an inch of water every week for at least a year?
Well, there's a couple of different ways I can answer that. One is When we put our new streetlights up, they're gonna have hanging plants. We already have a water truck with 500 gallons in it, and that can be part of my morning crew's watering and bathroom cleaning duties. So that's my first answer to that.
Thank you.
And-
Whose property is this on? It does, don't we own some of it and then, and Kyle owns, where's the line there? Do you know?
To measure the right of way, the easiest thing for us would be to have it in our own right of way, but we also want to make sure that it looks good. So Van Kyle's willing to give an easement.
Yeah.
Current. No,
It's big.
Very wide.
14, 15 feet.
Yeah.
Wide.
Can we, since we have kind of a design committee working on the parking lot, can we have them look at this and come up with get the guy to draw a little drawing and say, maybe get Ray as a landscape architect? Yeah, get some professionals looking at it. Yeah. All right. I mean, if we're tearing up the thing, we could actually put a water to it too, as possible. I mean, a little small, I don't know, maybe not, I don't know. Anyway, so, all right. Yeah,
I would ask that the tree board be included in this conversation prominently.
Yeah, that's what that would have been.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
and they're,
And
For the type of tree, I wouldn't know, but there's a lot of really smart people on tree board.
yeah,
And just in terms of the placement, bear in mind, especially that handicap space at the end of the big block of sidewalk there, and be sure not to impede access.
well, we're also gonna have an
to
issue with
that.
leaves coming off it in the sidewalk, so somebody's gonna have to rake stuff, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you're asking, or if this is the point to ask for opinion or to give opinions about the designs,
Let's get the committee to come back. and-
Okay.
Yeah, that's not, yeah.
well, among the ones that are here,
No,
the
you-
one
you
on the
gotta
bottom
see- you gotta
left.
See some things, but we're, I mean,
No.
no,
As
but
long as
we're
we
gonna,
can keep
we're
them
gonna see,
alive.
we're gonna see plans, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not, I think it's a good idea, yeah. Nope.
No,
Okay, all right, so you got your, okay, thank you. Thank whoever the person is that wants to give us the money. All right, committee reports, we do not have any. We normally don't have committee reports at these mid-month meetings, so that if in the future. All right, public comments, Rosemary, you're up first.
In my previous life in New York City, I worked in the real estate industry for 50 years, and I still do consulting a bit on and off. I have seen hundreds of engineering reports on buildings, hundreds, both from people who own existing buildings, they want to know the condition, or for people who are investing tens or hundreds of $1,000,000, they want to buy a building. What they don't do when you hire an engineering firm is say, I want you to look at this. What they do is say, go in the building and tell me what you see. Look at the envelope of the building, the outside of the building, look at the mechanicals, look at the electrical, look at the plumbing, look at the whole thing and give me an honest report of the condition of the building and the useful life of the building components. I noticed in the McPherson report that there was a line that said, our primary focus is on the HVAC and the windows, and that we understand the current roof is sound and there are no known leaks. Also, they're subbing out their mechanicals to a company called Pace Collaborative, which means they cannot do that work, that inspection in-house. So that to me is a deficiency. Their price was $6,300. AWB, they gave a price, it was from a mechanical engineer, but it was really just a single paragraph, was $5,500. So sometimes you get what you pay for. Becca Morgan actually did a thorough report on the school in 2011. We know they did because we've seen the report, although I don't know where it is now. And we have the numbers from that report, which is in, I think, the AWB report that was subsequently done. They are coming in with thorough architectural and MEP for 17,700. They said they'll report on the existing conditions as well as the remaining life of those components. And that, to me, is critical. We spent last year, we being the town, $65,000 with Hill Studios. And that was to count parking spaces, which any of us could have done, and also come up with some designs for streetlights, which I think the town collaboratively changed. I think Matt found things online, and also to come up with signage. If we could spend $65,000 on that, to me, we can spend $17,000 for something that could be costing the town many hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in the immediate years and in the future. Thank you.
Mark Sinclair.
Mark Sinclair, Greenway Circle, just outside of town. Regarding the farmer's market, I'm an avid supporter of the farmer's market. I really think you should work carefully with them and support them and make that grow. I am, however, confused why you're doing a master plan for the whole Queen Street parking lot and that building is not part of it. It would seem to me that the building should be part of the whole master plan.
It is.
Well,
That's
okay.
why this came
I
up.
apologize because that's not what I heard a little
Yeah.
while ago.
No, it is.
Okay. Regarding your study on the school, I didn't see anything, as you pointed out, in there regarding a timeline for this study. And I think that you should put their hand to the fire and say, how long will this take? And make sure it stays in that period of time. Because we know that they're going to ask you for at least 3 months, if not 4 months. And I'll bet you they might even say longer. Depends upon what they want to, what they want to throw at it. So I'm just concerned that this is adding a lot of time to the process. And I think you need to make sure you keep that in mind. I would also say that anybody that comes in to give you a quote on any of the systems that we've already quoted on, ask them what's wrong with the quote we have. Because I think you'll find out that the quotes you have really do adequately solve some of the problems that you're looking to solve. And last but not least, I was over at the school today playing disc golf. And I was so pleased to see that the school had graded out that pile of dirt that's been sitting there for 2 years. All of a sudden, that pavilion, which started this whole problem, all of a sudden that pavilion is looking like the tremendous asset it's going to be for this community. And before you kick them too hard, go over and look at that building and just remember where this all started. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff Daking.
Jeff Daking, Meadenville Road. Sorry, I have a cold. Liberty Street Extension. Why don't you just put in a speed bump? That would actually slow people down. Put up a sign, speed bump. As for Becker and Morgan, in task 2 in the first paragraph, first of all, to Rosemary's point, they're going to outsource the mechanical also to a firm called Allen and Scharf. But it says it is assumed that the existing condition as built drawings are available to the use of these drawings has been assumed on the basis of this proposal. And on the second page, they say, additional survey, well, it says, it is our understanding that there are accurate existing map drawings available for the existing space. Additional survey time as a result of the lack of existing map drawings may require additional services. This building was built in 1921. Does anybody have as-builts on this building? I'm going to guess no, which means that Becker and Morgan is a bottomless pit. They're going to charge you $17,000 and then they're going to say, well, we don't have any drawings, we can't do anything. So I don't get it.
Thank you. Patsy Felto.
Patsy Feldhausen, Ames Street. Over the past 17 years, several structural evaluations have been done and commissioned and completed by the school. In 2008, FOS hired Becker Morgan, a highly respected structural and architectural firm located in Salisbury, Maryland, to create a schematic design for the school. So they do have detailed drawings. These renderings are detailed and they're absolutely beautiful. In 2011, FOS rehired Becker Morgan to do a structural engineering evaluation of the school. This study is meticulously detailed. Their bottom line in 2011 was $4.5 million. In 2014, the Community Partners firm out of Richmond, VA, was hired to create an operational proposal for the school. Again, this report was very detailed and they referenced repeatedly the Becker Morgan 2011 report. Their bottom line was $5 million in 2014. And most recently, in 2024, Bancroft Construction was retained to complete an engineering survey. Their bottom line was $5.5 million. Every single report, all reports determined that a separate asbestos and hazardous material survey needed to be done, and all reports are at least $5 million in work that needs to be done on the school. This has not changed in 17 years. Matt, you have spoken about AWB doing these surveys. I cannot find any detailed report on that or copies. So if you have them, would you kindly post them online so that everyone can see them? 3 bids were submitted and the discrepancies in these bids is staggering. It's like they're not even talking about the same structure. We have a beautiful opportunity here for everyone to finally recognize the cost of the old school to the tax-paying residents of Onancock. The cost has never changed. We have the opportunity to discuss openly whether the citizens of Onancock want a $5 to $7 million tax burden to repair the old school. This decision and discussion takes time and lots of input from the citizens of Onancock. The school and grounds are public land. Open, broad-based town hall forums need to be held. The town council needs to give itself the grace to study all options available. There is no urgency. The old boiler has been chugging along for 17 years.
Thank you for your comments.
You're welcome.
Greg Feldhausen.
Greg Feldhausen, Ames Street. I'll thank my spouse for her comments also. I have in my hands the 2011 assessment done by Becker Morgan, exceedingly detailed. I called them up yesterday and asked for a copy of that report, and they kindly emailed it to me. I'm sorry I haven't had the opportunity to get it to you all. But in that are cost analysis, drawings of the present status, of the proposed future status, of the proposed cost involved with doing those things, and a timeline stating which procedures needed to be done first, with a 3-year window on those things. So I would ask that the council strongly consider Becker Morgan. I think they're qualified to do the job. I know them from experience in my 30 years of being in Salisbury, and I know the quality of the work they do. This is a huge investment for this small town. To do an assessment is a priority. It needs to be done first before decisions are made. With 30 years of treatment planning patients, the most important thing I did with them was discover the problems they had and develop a logical plan on how to treat those problems and give them the options of making the choices. That's all I'm asking this town to do. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Didn't I see Tony leave? Yeah, okay. Priscilla Hart?
Good evening. I'm Priscilla Hart. I live on Market Street. I have a letter that I am planning to read from Dana Simpson. Dana, I believe, submitted a letter to the town council asking you to read it. Are you planning to read it? If you are, I'm not going to read it.
No.
Then she has asked me to read it, so I will do that. So I am speaking for Dana Simpson. Dear council members, and this was sent Monday, October 14th. Please read this and add to minutes as my statement. We cannot attend the meeting. We're in Richmond. I'm hoping to hear that Casey Greer has been appointed to the planning committee. We would be very fortunate to have such a qualified and industrious person considering Onancock's future, as well as prudent, forward-thinking steps to get there. Casey attended the last planning meeting, spoke up on impactful issues, and felt mostly ignored. She submitted her application over a month ago, which has never formally been acknowledged. She was the first to apply, and the delay in filling these positions on the planning board appears to illustrate a desire to find others that will conform to the wishes of a few in power. If she has not been awarded a seat, here is one more example of shady maneuvering. So here are some questions. And I'm reading these questions. Have Onancock water rights been given away as per Matt Spuck's letter to Carbo, a permit flipper, not a developer? Note, written without the mayor's knowledge, as Fletcher said at an earlier public town council meeting. Is the sale of Onancock's water still under consideration? Yes or no? Anybody want to answer? No. Okay, I will continue. Do we have the power to control the use of Onancock's water in terms of this proposed development that is currently for sale to future unknown entities? Any?
We don't do answer questions.
Okay, fine. So I'm just going to keep reading. Thank you. It seems like little attention is paid to rules and fairness. I hope more people in the community will begin to see and speak up for transparency, especially as it pertains to actions taken by the town manager. Thank you. Dana Simpson.
Thank you for your comments. And last but not least, Casey.
So that was I'm sorry, that was a little embarrassing. So, you got it. Okay. And let me just say that if the council does not see fit to add me to the planning commission, I will seek to be involved in some other kinds of ways. So it's not like I'm going to pack up my dolls and dishes and go home. Right. So, so what I wanted to, all I wanted to say two things. One had to do with how the meetings are recorded. What we've discovered is that when you listen to the recording of the meeting, you can never hear Matt. And I would like to request that the town consider spending $50 and buying a lavalier that fastens to his lapel, because he speaks more than just about anybody else in the entire meeting. So that's something that, is easy enough to fix, and I think would make a real difference to people who listen to the recordings after the fact. The other thing I wanted to say was I just wanted to support the idea that the more information, the better on this building. And this is one of those things where I think you're going to get what you pay for in terms of the engineering study. I do think from my experience with the library's construction in Parksley, I would be hard pressed to suggest that there is a contractor on the shore who could handle some of the kinds of problems that you're likely to find there. It's too big and complicated of a project. But I do think that the issue is that we need to go beyond the 4 things that Matt mentioned, and we really need to just take a fresh look from at the very beginning so that we can have an actual real course of action. And when those results are in, I would really like to see a session sort of like the one that Fletcher held a few months ago, where it was possible to actually have a conversation about the results of the report. I think we're at the point where everybody's desperate for information. FOS is, other citizens are, and I'd like to suggest that we come up with a mechanism. Who knows, maybe it should be the Planning Commission, but that we come up with a mechanism for having a real conversation about the results of this report so that we can start to come up with some kind of reasonable path forward. Let me tell you, from when the foundation had its Library Foundation had its office in the basement, not only it was damp all the time, we ran a dehumidifier nonstop, couldn't keep up with it. And that the mildew and mold smell in the bottom level is severe. And that I think the kinds of evaluations you need also need to see what kind of draw is coming up from the foundation and whether you've got rising damp, a bad problem with rising damp. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Well,
Evaluation for the Queen Street parking.
there was just we just had a meeting. We're going to still have a big, they're going to get together and present the whole thing.
Right, with
Yeah.
the Mary Clements, I live on Joint Street and I have a business on Market Street. If you move the Winter Market building to the area that you're talking about, how many parking spots will be obliterated?
4 or 5. Yeah. No, it wasn't, well, 3, but we picked up some on the other side that the guy hadn't put in. So, yeah, I mean, we're not changing the park there. Yeah, we haven't actually come up with a total number of parking spaces yet, but it's pretty similar to what's there now. Yeah.
Keep in mind that you have now just recently instituted a parking ordinance for the entire town, which limits it to 3 hours.
Right.
I already tell my clients, do not show up on Saturday mornings. There is no place to park.
Right.
I walk on Saturday mornings from my house to my business. There is no place to park. And now with the addition of Caldwell Banker, there's really no place to park. If you obliterate these spots and you keep up with the 3 hours, you're going to lose everybody on the other side of Market Street. I really do tell my clients, don't show up until after 1. So I'm very concerned about the fact that there hasn't been a consideration for the other businesses in town. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Yeah, we got a couple more. Go ahead. No, I think you were first. Whoever, go ahead, Rick. Yeah. Yeah, we need to come up to the, I'm sorry, you have to come up to the mic. We just can't hear we can't record you well if you're not on the mic.
On Hancock Street. 3 things quickly. First of all, I'd like to compliment everybody who was involved in beautifying that small park across from the post office. It has never looked nicer, and it has never been more of a compliment to the town. I hope it stays that way, but all involved should be complimented. Number 2, I think that if you are planning a full-scale analysis of the school and its surrounds, that you should definitely include the parking lot. The McAdam, I work there 3 days or 4 days a week as a custodian, I guess. And I see what goes on there in terms of the travel and some parking difficulties and the shape, not the physical shape, but the shape that the macadam is in. So that should be included, I believe. And then the third thing is that my feeling is that this is an incredible opportunity to have something perfected in some ways that other towns would die for. And people have used the example of the Central High School. And we have a great opportunity. It's a wonderful facility, and it's 13 acres of beauty that we're fortunate enough to have in the middle of the town. And I think it's something that is important and must be handled correctly. And one suggestion is that it is very rare to have a leasee interested in spending money on their building. And this is something that we should be thrilled about, not upset about. And there's a way to work this out. The town pays for everything and works out a legal deal with the school. It's not a loan. It's not a legal problem. And we could go forward. And I think that should be addressed.
Thank you.
Joe Hill, 28th Street, actually the corner of Liberty and Ames. So I'm going back to the discussion about the alley so much that, first of all, let me say the biggest asset to me in Anacostia is our walkable communities. And I've lived on the corner, like I say, Liberty and Ames. It's been a problem for 20 years. I've been here now for 20 years. There are certain means of mitigation. There was something circulated that I put together as far as dropping the speed limits to 25. It's a comprehensive community issue. You go over to Joins Street, Holly Street, Johnson Street, all you see are yellow signs where people have taken it onto themselves to try and express, hey, will you slow down? That's not necessarily working that much, but it is a cry for help from us to you guys. And I think we've kicked the can down the road long enough. Something needs to be decided. It's not safe. It affects property values. And I love this town. I want to remain here and live the good life. So the other with the school and the evaluation proposals and stuff like that, that's going to get you an evaluation of the school itself and what needs to be done. What needs to be, you're missing one step. You take that information and you hire a firm to do specifications. So you're going to have apples to apples, oranges to oranges. So you would put the specifications down, which is a very detailed thing. That way the guy knows each guy bids on, windows XYZ that meet this UV value and solar heat gain evaluation, stuff like that. Otherwise, when a guy goes, I think it's going to be, well, that $6,000 is going to be, you need accurate specifications so everybody builds the same thing, bids the same thing, and you can pick and choose through there. Hope that makes sense to you. And I couldn't guess to be what the specifications would be. Let's say they're $50,000. They put things in 3 bids, or you get 4 bids. There might be $50,000 that comes up in the actual bidding, but everybody's stuck to those standards. So that's that. Do I have anything else to say?
I don't know.
No.
Do you?
I'm willing to put in some work on speed mitigation, stuff like that. I'd like to take that opportunity. And at first, we'd yell from the porch, slow down. There's been a couple kind of times where it's somebody's going to beat the crap out of me sooner or later. But as sitting on my porch, it's not a speeding problem. It's a speed limit problem. So it's easy to solve. Change the speed limit. Enforcement, I'm going to pass that to the citizens of Anacostia who care about this community and care about people's property value, and put it in their hands. Give it a while. If no enforcement doesn't work, then maybe a little bit more of a hammer or something like that.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we've been through everybody here. All right, moving on. Town councilman comments. Go ahead, Sarah.
2 things. One, a reminder that early voting is open for the November 5th election. The 2 Saturdays for that are October 26th and November 2nd at the registrar's office outside of Accomack at Sawmill Park. And then on the 5th itself, it would be what, at Nandua Middle. And in thinking, shifting gears, in thinking about the after effects, especially of Hurricane Helene on Western North Carolina, I kept trying to imagine those unimaginable scenes here and had a conversation with Matt about what kinds of hurricane preparedness things we as a town need to be thinking about and doing. And so I'd like to have that as part of our considerations going forward. Although, as he pointed out, a lot of that responsibility falls with the county. We need to know what they're thinking so that we can mesh in with that.
Yeah, thank you. Cindy? I'm not on, I don't have a mayor's report, but I would like a comment. I don't normally respond to public comment, but about the planning commission, I think the word was used, shady dealings. And I think that we have a vacancy on the planning commission, and we advertised the vacancy, if not correct, on the website. And this was somewhat after the planning commission meeting. Normally, the planning commission recommends somebody to the council. The council appoints somebody to the planning commission. Normally, the planning commission recommends someone. Well, they did not meet in September, so they had no way to recommend anybody to us. So that was the delay. We had one applicant. Not sure how much the word got out that we had openings, and we had people saying they were interested, but they never actually would submit an application. So as of the planning commission last week, we had 3 applications applied. The planning commission met and recommended one of the candidates. They will present that at our meeting at the end of this month. So we will vote somebody in. But I take exception to the fact that anything shady was being done. Just want to point that we did everything. The council is not bound to appoint who the planning commission recommended. It's totally up to us. So, but that's my comment. Mavis?
You answered my question about the planning commission and the process. That was one thing I was going to say, but I wanted to thank Rosemary Paparo, because I never would have, when I have a car and I have a problem, I just hand the car to the mechanic and say, what's wrong with it? And I like the idea of having the assessment or the evaluation done without saying, look at the window, look at the door. I like the idea of saying, what's wrong with it? And then you get a true and overall picture of what we need to do. And I do want to say that the most important part about it is to say the timing of each repair. Like, I thought the roof was the most important thing, and I'm hearing that the roof doesn't leak, so maybe that isn't the first step. So I would like to see that if you're going to do additional information from from these engineers, maybe they should just open the door and take a look and let us know what's going on.
Paul?
As usual, I'd like to thank everyone for coming. I think that the more that people know, the better the town works, and hopefully the more effective we can all be. I also would like to mention that I think today is the last day for the Main Street, responding to the Main Streets survey. And I'm looking forward to getting the raw data for that, and looking forward to any compilation that they would do. And I should certainly hope that you would too. It should be interesting. So that's it. Thank you for coming, and we'll do what we can do. Thank you.
Joey, I forgot you. I think we're waiting on to get the preliminary plan and it's going to be a couple weeks. Yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to remember from our last meeting, if the same group of people were meeting again to review the plans to see if there would be changes needed to those plans prior to going to a bigger meeting. I don't honestly remember, Joy. But certainly there will eventually be larger meetings once we get a plan that we can present and get feedback on. Does that answer you? I know it's vague, but we may need to review what they've given us to see if we need changes based on what we thought we'd said, that kind of thing. So I can't answer you right this minute, but there will be, and you'll be notified.
Is that okay? All right. Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? We won't have a roll call on that.
Yeah.
Changed to the day off.